you see what I mean?
Is it recording now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Do you feel really awkward?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I've never done anything like this before.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't be a vlogger or anything like that because I'd literally feel so awkward. Why do I want to do this one? Because I think it's something that needs to be spoken about. I think there's a stigma around mental health and I think a lot of people don't want to voice it, and I know I didn't. When I first was diagnosed, I didn't talk about it for like a year and a half.
Okay.
And that's like the stupidest thing to do. Like, you should always talk to people because...
Was there a reason for that?
I just didn't want to... I felt like if I told people, I was like a bit of a burden. So like, I didn't want to tell my mum because my mum was going through something with her friend as well. My mum would have been really the only person I opened up to. Didn't tell any of my friends. I felt like a lot of my friends wouldn't understand. I was 22.
So you weren't that young, so...
No, this was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
well,
so...
3 years ago around.
Yeah. So you'd think maybe people would, like, in an outside perspective, I would have thought that like, if it was me, I thought they would have understood.
Yeah.
Was it just your friends at the time, or...?
Yeah, I feel like it was more... People don't like to talk about their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get like real with them, like, I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling that way, it was more kind of like a, you'll be fine soon.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, actually no, I felt like this for like nearly a year. So no, I won't be fine soon because I've dealt with it for ages.
So what happened? Did you go to the doctors, or...?
Yeah, my mum and dad were on holiday, and my sister was looking after a dog, so she wasn't at home. So I had the house to myself, and I thought I'd been struggling for best part of a year, and I thought I need to actually do something about it. So I took myself to the doctors and explained how I was feeling, what I was going through. Just kind of opened up to this stranger. Yeah, and she basically said to me, like, exactly what you're saying to me now is like depression. And I was just like, because I'd known people with depression, but it was when I was a lot younger. Like, my friend had it when she was like 15. And I think when you're that age, you cope with it a lot differently to when you're older. And I didn't know anyone who had it. I wasn't around people who had it, because I went out in like Loughton, so it was all like everyone's all happy all the time, and like it's not, I don't know, I just didn't have I didn't have anyone who had been through it, so I didn't know how to, like, what it was. And then when she said it to me, I was just like, oh, well, that actually makes sense, because what I basically told her was like the kind of run-of-the-mill symptoms of it. But I didn't know what I was feeling at the time. I knew I was like down constantly. I was like, I felt very like false. I felt like everything I was doing was like either to impress somebody or like because I really, really wanted to change who I was. And like the stupidest thing to do, because now I look back and who I was 3 years ago is completely different to who I am now, but who I am now is like who I was when I was like 15. So I've kind of gone back, but in a good way.
Was there anything that like happened that made you feel like that shit?
I had a really horrendous job. Like, I hated my job. I had no support. I was kind of thrown in at the deep end and I didn't know what I was doing, and nobody helped me, and I think I just got really stressed and overwhelmed, and I just, instead of leaving straight away, I let it carry on until it got to the point where I was like I put on so much weight because I was just eating through stress, because I'm a stress eater. I was just eating loads of crap, just, I was going out loads, drinking. I was drinking a lot. Where like I was drinking on like weekdays and stuff. Like, I'd go out for lunch with work, and because I didn't drive, I'd have like 3 glasses of wine with lunch, so I'd literally be drunk pretty much all the time. Which is really bad. I've never told anyone that.
Can I film you?
No.
It's not fair.
Because it was because I literally hated my job, and I thought the only way I can get through this is like
medicate.
Yeah, it was like I would have like 2 to 3 glasses of wine with lunch if we went out for lunch, which was about twice a week. Like it wasn't to the point where I was like getting drunk every night where I had to be drunk to cope with my day, but it was, if I knew we were going to the pub for lunch, I'd be like, oh my god, I can have a glass of wine, and because I didn't drive, I'd go a bit like crazy on it.
Yeah.
But then I suppose because I used to drink a lot, I coped with it, and then I'd go out on a Friday night, get absolutely like battered, and then go out again on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
So I was drinking probably 3 or 4 times a week, which is a lot for me because now, you know me, I don't drink.
Yeah.
I drink like once a month.
Yeah.
If that, to be fair. So I think, I wasn't going to the gym, I wasn't doing anything to better myself, I was doing everything to make myself worse. I'm really sorry, Mum and Dad, but I took up smoking because it got me away from my desk. It meant that I didn't have to do work because I'd be like, oh, I'm going for a cigarette, I'm going for a fag. Like, it was just the east way to cope with
literally like
being at work.
Just trying to self-medicate.
Basically, anything I could do to not work, I would do it. The last 2 weeks that I worked there, or maybe 3 weeks, I phoned in sick nearly every day. And then I finally handed my notice in on my birthday. And I remember I cried, but like with happiness, because I was like, I'm free.
You're actually... Your makeup looks on point.
So do you think was it after that it started getting better?
It did, and then the December of that year, my mum's best friend died, and that's when I kind of went down again. And then I had my boob job, and it's well known that when you go under anaesthetic, when you're coming out of it, if you have already been previously diagnosed with a mental health issue, or if you have one, it can be worsened, especially depression and anxiety. And yeah, after I came out of my surgery, I was really bad, didn't go out. I think because I put on weight as well, I was really conscious, and then I didn't go out. I literally would only go out if it was somebody's birthday, which around that time there wasn't many. I think there was only like 2. Anything I could do to not leave the house, I would do it. So I'd literally go to work and come home. That was all I would do, and I'd take 2 hours to walk home because I just wanted to be on my own. I just like wander around the streets, but
I think this is like completely normal though. If you're feeling like that, then that's what people do. They start isolating themselves, don't they?
It's exactly what I did. I just didn't talk to anyone. Like literally, I don't like. My friend as well, she moved. She got a boyfriend, so we stopped going out. But I think that was good for me because it meant that I stopped constantly like drinking. Because at first I was like, oh, I've lost my friend. Like, she's got a boyfriend now. I don't see her because her boyfriend's from Yorkshire, so she would obviously go out with him. But then I thought, actually, no, this is really good for me because I'm not drinking and I'm not putting myself in that place every weekend where I'd like get home and like cry. Well, sometimes I wasn't even that drunk. I just cry because I feel like absolute crap.
Really? Take a picture of the view, not me. I know I'm beautiful, but.
So what is like the full process of like someone who is depressed?
You just feel constantly like do you know what? I feel like it's not sad, it's like literally like deadpan, like nothingness. So it's not like you're crying or you're like really emotional or upset or genuinely sad. Like it is literally kind of like it's just static, nothing. And then like even if something really good happens, you're just like, oh yeah, that's good. But really, like in your head, you're just like, kind of just like
Flat.
Yeah, literally completely flat. Like dead, like...
That's why people get confused when people end up committing suicide, because they're like, well, I didn't see any signs.
Yeah.
Because it isn't a thing of like constantly being sad or just crying all the time. It's not always like that.
No. And like when you have good days, you do have good days. It's not, you're not constantly awful, and you do have days like if something happens or whatever, and you feel really good. And they're normally the times when people see you, because you're with the people that make you happy, but they don't see you 24/7. They don't see you when you're sitting in your room alone, so they don't know.
Yeah.
Like my friends would see me when I went to see them, but I was happy because I was with them. And then when I was on my own, it was just kind of like
flat,
kind of like dead around the facial area. It was hard at work, because where I work with like customers and the public, I had to like kind of be like, hi.
Yeah.
And like try and put on a fake. I think that's what made it worse, because I didn't feel anything, but I was like a robot. Like I was all day, I had to smile and I had to be really happy and helping people, and when really all I wanted to do was just like literally just sit and do nothing. It wasn't like every time you saw me I was like bursting into tears. It wasn't like that at all. It was more kind of, I didn't feel, I think that's why maybe I was more inclined to go to docs, because it wasn't that I felt sad, because I felt happy and I felt sad before. It was because I felt nothing. Like I genuinely was just like, yeah. I feel when I was at school, I mean, I don't know, I think it sounds really bad, but I think it was like the weird kids that everyone was like, oh, they've got depression, like they're weird, and it was
the emo kids.
Yeah, like the emo kids, and like I don't know, I just feel like it needs to be talked about a hell of a lot more in schools, in workplace, because I feel like if you're feeling really bad in your workplace, which is the place where you have to be pretty much your whole week, 5 days out of 7, like you need to talk to somebody about it. And then if you don't have that support there, then what are you going to do? Because you may have support at home, but you're only with, well, whether you live on your own or like me, with my parents, like for maybe 2 or 3 hours in the evening to have dinner. That's not a lot of time to like kind of get everything out there. Whereas I'm at work 10 hours a day, so that's where I spend all my time. And if there's no talk about it, like they say, oh, we've got like this hotline you can ring. I don't want to speak to a stranger on the phone. Like sometimes I want to speak to like one of my colleagues about it and like just let them know how I'm feeling.
Yeah. And
you don't get that support in a lot of workplaces. You really don't. I don't know anywhere, to be honest, where you do get that support. I had a support system, but through my own, I don't know, not fault, but I didn't want to tell anyone. Like I didn't tell anyone. I think because my mum's friend had just been diagnosed with cancer, so my mum was going through that already. Me and Amy, we were close, but we weren't that close. And I think I just didn't, I was like, oh, I don't really want to, it was like, I don't want to be a burden on people. I don't want people to be constantly
that
like,
sounds really lonely.
like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm a very independent person. I mean, you know, I literally do everything on my own. And I normally, if I've had a really shit day, I can cope with that. I go to the gym, I work it off, I'll like get myself something, like buy myself a treat, and then I'm fine. But this was completely different. Like anything I did would not make me feel better. I could not. No amount of going to the gym, no amount of like treating myself, buying stuff, like going out drinking, none of it made me feel better. And it was lonely, but I'm so used to being on my own, I didn't see it like that. I just saw it as like, well, I've just got to deal with it.
Time you film me, I'm like putting an ugly face while you're on it.
So what would you say to like maybe parents or sisters or brothers where they might recognise a bit of different behaviour in someone?
I would say maybe don't approach it as in like, don't like walk over to them like, we need to talk, right, what's going on? It needs to be kind of like, you sit down, you're like, right, tell me everything you're feeling, tell me what you're going through, tell me, rather than kind of like an interrogation, it needs to be a conversation. So rather than like, why, it needs to be like you just sit, let them talk, and you just listen. So ask them, right, like open up to me. Some people probably won't. There's a lot of people that won't open up. I mean, it took me a year before I actually told anyone how I felt. I'd spoken to people in like little bits, like just got, no, I'm feeling really down today, and but that was kind of the majority of it. It took me, literally a whole year before I actually told anyone.
What was the worst thing that someone has said to you that was supposed to make you feel better? Do you remember?
Yeah. Someone said to me, "Is it because you're single?" And that was literally, I just was like, I kind of took it as if because they, when I told that person, they kind of didn't, they'd never experienced anyone with like depression, so they didn't know how to react. So I think it was kind of like a reaction that just came out. And I just kind of basically went, no, like, that's not why. There's no reason why I feel this way, but this is how I feel. So I shut the question down completely because it's just a stupid question. But I didn't shut the person out because it was somebody quite close to me, and I needed that support there as well.
I think because you've gone through what you've gone through, you're so independent.
Yeah.
And you know that your own happiness is up to you.
Yeah.
You haven't put that in anybody else.
Yeah, there was nobody else that could have helped me. Like, I didn't have, like, obviously I have family, but it's different.
You have to want to help yourself.
Yeah. And I think what I did help myself, when I look back at it, was the best thing for me, which was I basically just joined a gym because, like, exercise is the best medicine for mental health because it releases endorphins, which make you happier in general. The first couple of weeks were really hard. I had to really force myself to go. I'd finish work and I'd be like, I just want to go home and literally do nothing. And I was like, no, I know that after I get out of there, I'm going to feel so much better. So I had to really, really force myself. And even now, like 2 years later, if I have like a week where I don't go to the gym, I feel like absolute shit. And that's not because it's not because I'm not exercising and I'm not like, oh my God, I'm going to like put on 5 stone. It's more because I know how good I feel when I exercise, and I know that after I have like a really good session, I feel so full of good energy. Not just energy, but good energy. And I think that's so, I feel really like fulfilled after I've done it. And like there's some people's mechanism is to like go and eat food, go and drink, which was one of my mechanisms before I like realised, right, instead of actually like killing my liver, why don't I make myself a healthier person and do this and do that. I think you need to try and maybe find even like a little hobby is like good to have. You go in somewhere where there's other people, because although I go to the gym, like I'll go on my own, there's people around me. I'm not on my own completely. Like I don't love the gym, but when I'm there, I feel so good that it's something that I do rather than to get fit and healthy and like to get like a perfect bikini body. I do it because I enjoy being there, not because I want to look a certain way, which I think is good as well.
Do you feel famous today?
I'm going to be in 2 vlogs. 3, including the one that's getting filmed tonight. Exciting, I'm famous now.
Did you start like resenting anyone, or did you have like bad feelings to anyone that you now realise was just because of the depression? Or
do you know what, I would say that I was more trying to keep everyone really close to me, because although I'm independent, I didn't want to be alone, so I was trying to keep people close to me that like I wouldn't normally care, not I wouldn't care about, but like I went on a date with this guy who I worked with at the time, and he might see this, and if he does, hello. But I didn't fancy him. No offense. Didn't fancy him. Didn't find him attractive. Not my type at all. But it was just because I wanted like a bit of companionship. Because that was one of the things that went through my mind. Like I did think, maybe it's because I am alone. And then I went on this date and I was like, no, it's not because I'm alone. Like, because I don't want that shit. I was like, it ain't because of this, but like, that I don't want. Like,
yeah.
I was like, no, it's not. That's not the reason. It's not because I'm alone. It's because, well, I don't know why I felt like it. I just did. You don't have to have a reason. It doesn't have to be because there was a death in the family or because you've gone through a horrible breakup. Sometimes you just feel like shit. And like,
I think that's important that people know that though.
yeah, like you don't. There hasn't got to be like a trauma that happens in your life. Sometimes it's just like you're just like, nah, I can't do it. Like when I was at my point, my worst point was when like just before I quit like that job, and I was phoning in sick and stuff like that. That was my worst point because I never ever phone in sick to work unless I'm literally like puking down the toilet. I will not ring in sick. If I have a cold, anything, I won't ring in. And that's how I know, because there was nothing wrong with me. I just didn't want to go in. I'd just ring up and be like, I'm ill, I'm not coming in. I feel like literally the only thing I need to say is like just talk and talk and talk to people, because the more you bottle it up, the worse it's gonna get, and the more. I'm not saying don't face it alone, because you need to overcome it yourself, and you can't rely on other people to help you overcome it. But even if you open up to like somebody that you've met online and you're talking to them over Instagram, open up to them. Like just tell someone like at all. So like even if it's just somebody like who randomly likes your pictures, or they message you like replying to an Instagram story, just say to them like, is it okay if I just open up to you about something? Because just that one person might push you to then open up to a family member. So I think that would really help.
What would you say to people that are like contemplating like self-harming or suicide or something like that?
Again, literally just open up. I mean, I'm very lucky I was never at that stage. I never got that low. But I did say when I spoke to my mum, I said if something had happened, if I had done something to myself in that period of time when I was really bad, when I hadn't told anyone, if somebody said to you like, why, you wouldn't be able to tell them because you didn't know. And I was like, and that, like, people, you need to at least open up to one person, because if nobody knows, then nobody can do anything to help, and nobody can, even if it's like a little message just saying like, hope you're okay, have a good day. Sometimes that can really make somebody's day. Like they could literally be on the brink of suicide that morning, and you could text them and say like, have a really good day, like you're gonna smash it. I don't know, they could have like a meeting or whatever, and that could literally change their life, and you don't know that. So I think just definitely open up to people and don't bottle it up.